Very much for giving me this opportunity. Madam, I have a special gratification in participating in this discussion. Madam, I myself was an industrial employee working in a chemical factory for about 15 years, and still I am a humble trade unionist. I had many occasions to deal with this Workmen Compensation Act, and I really appreciate the usefulness of this piece of legislation. Madam, this is a much awaited amendment to the Workmen Compensation Act. Even though it is a small piece of legislation, it is the outcome of a laborious work. Intention of this legislation is very good. National Commission on Labour 2002 recommended for such a amendment. Similarly, the Standing Committee on Labour had series of discussion with the stakeholders, trade union people, industrialists, and safety officers and things like that. And they have made on-the-spot study about the necessity of such an amendment. They have visited industrial cities like Ranchi, Bangalore, Cochin and Trivandrum. They had enough discussion, threadbare discussion with concerned persons. When we ask whether this amendment is adequate, we may not be able to say yes, but it is really meaningful. Definition change from workmen to employees will be covering most of the employees, and minimum compensation rate has been increased from 80,000 to 1,02,000 like that, and 90,000 to 1,40,000 like that. And funeral expense also has been increased from 2,500 to 5,000. And reimbursement for actual treatment, that also is met in this. And widening of eligibility criteria for commissioners, that also is there. Then another important thing in this is time limit. Within 3 months, the decision will have to be taken by the commissioner. These are all good things. So when we analyze all these things, we have to verify certain other thing also. Then as an example, in the list of injuries, external injuries are listed in that. That is not sufficient. I would like to quote just 2-3 sentences from the Standing Committee report. They says that the committee strongly therefore recommend that beside external injuries, the internal injuries caused during the course of employment, which inter alia should include passage from residence to workplace, and also be incorporated in the appropriate schedule of the Act to determine the compensation payable to the employees. Unfortunately, this part has not been considered in this bill. I humbly request the Honourable Minister to give a due consideration to the recommendation of this Standing Committee. Then, sir, some other general observation I would like to make. That is about industrial accidents. In a question in the Rajya Sabha, in a reply, the figure is really alarming. Industrial accidents are increasing day by day. Strategy is with me. Considering the time constraint, I don't want to enter into that details. Madam, this Factory Act, which says about safety of the industrial employees, sections 27 to 40, it is about the precaution to be made to avoid accidents. Safety clause is there, but unfortunately, it has not been monitored effectively. There are inspectors of factories and boilers. They are not visiting the factories. Even if they are visiting the factory, trade union people are not aware whether they have come to the factory or not. So I suggest that periodical inspection of the inspector of factories and boilers should be strictly adhered into. And when they visit the factory, concerned trade union people also may kindly be informed in that. So in order to avoid the accidents, we have to do such kind of monitoring. When we talk about the industrial workers, factory workers, What about the workers in the unorganized sector? Take an example of Delhi. Now Commonwealth Games is going to come in the next year, in the same period. Sir, about the construction workers engaged in this Commonwealth Games construction work, Asian Age reports that 48 construction workers have died and another 98 suffered serious injuries in the series of mishaps which have occurred on construction site during 2008-2009. It is really alarming. It's only an example. So I would like to say that we must give some emphasis on the unorganized workers. Well, even though there is law, it has not been added into that strictly.
Bashir sir, please conclude.
Yes, sir, yes, madam, I'm going to conclude. Pardon? No, I am from, see, as far as labor is concerned, what is EPM in contest? After all, it's a common interest. It is the interest of my class. I told you that I myself was a worker.
Please.
Yes. Sir,
Please, honorable member, please.
I am going to conclude. So,
Let him
anyhow,
speak first.
the compensation rate which stipulated in this act may consider be increased. I would like to point out that also. And on the spot visit of the officers, as I mentioned earlier, that also should be made compulsory. So I don't want to take much of the time. Anyhow, comprehensive reform is required in Workmen Compensation Act. I take this as a humble beginning. I hope that Honourable Labour Minister and the government will come forward to make a comprehensive law on the safety of the workers. So with
Thank you so much.
this few words, I conclude. Thank you very much.
Shri Jagdamba